what's up? And welcome back to another video. Today we are going to finally review the Pixel 9 Pro, specifically the Pixel 9 Pro XL in this nice hazel color. Super excited because we finally got to try it out. Not only does it look great, but there's quite a few things that we want to talk about. I'm sure that you have some questions, but we got plenty of answers already.
Yeah. Yeah, this phone is a lot of fun. So we've been using it for a little bit now.
Right.
The first of many Pixel products coming through the door. We have the Fold coming.
Yeah.
At,
Quite.
I think the
yeah.
Fold is going to be here in literally 2 days.
Right.
But we also have the regular Pixel 9 coming,
Mm-hmm.
the Buds,
We have the lineup.
the watches.
It's the whole lineup.
The whole lineup is coming, but
Right.
this is the 9 Pro.
XL.
Yeah. I'm excited. No, seriously.
It is a great phone.
Yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with this phone.
And we've been waiting for it to release this whole time, so the fact that we finally got to review it, it's exciting. It feels so filling.
Yeah,
So
let's do it.
Let's get started.
So I just want to start by saying this is a very good looking phone. Yeah.
You're telling me.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
they've refined on the design from last year's Pixel 8 Pro, and I feel like each year I say this in every single review,
Which
but
is a good thing.
Yeah, it's because
Yeah.
it's true. Each year it seems like the pixels get more and more polished in terms of how they look
Right.
and feel, right?
Yeah.
So the Pixel 9 Pro, in my experience, whenever it comes to just holding it in the hand, easily the best feeling Pixel I've ever
Right.
held. It feels really nice. I think the weight is at a really good point. Funny enough, it weighs exactly the same as an iPhone 15 Pro Max, 7.8 grams.
Coincidence? I think not.
I think not. But yeah, no, the phone feels great. Google opted for polished aluminum enclosure with matte back glass, Gorilla Glass Victus 2 on the front and back. And it just looks really good. Corners are rounded, the display is flat. I'm actually really liking the way that they did the camera visor this year.
100%.
So it's no longer connected at the left and right of the enclosure anymore. It's kind of like its own little, I mean, that's big enough to
Island,
call
yeah.
an island now.
Right,
Yeah, it's kind
yeah.
of like its own island, but it's really cool because when we set it down on a table, it doesn't really rock in any kind of
Yeah.
direction.
Yeah.
And the visor is just kind of it's the iconic Pixel look now.
Right. Is their signature. Yeah.
So I really like it. And then, of course, all the other things you're looking for in terms of build for the phone is here too. Wireless charging, IP68 water and dust resistance rating and stuff like that.
Full
So
package.
yeah, I love the way the phone looks and feels.
Oh, and 100% agree. I think we even mentioned it on the podcast episode that we had about the Google I/O event. We love the design of not only this phone but the whole lineup. I think they achieved something very unique when it comes to using the visor as their signature look. That with a combination of that nice hazel color and all the other color
The hazel's
options,
sick.
I think they really nailed it when it comes to the design.
Yeah.
And Aryan is right. It does feel great in your hand. It's super smooth now. I think it's safe to say that because of the smoothness, there's parts of the enclosure that feel cheaper, which it is. The enclosure is cheaper. It's aluminum. It's a polished aluminum. But personally, when I feel it directly, it reminds me of this hard polished plastic material that I've seen in other products that are cheaper. So it doesn't feel super premium, but it's not a bad thing because it still feels solid and it's very good in your hand. But it's not metally as other phone products that you probably would experience at this price point.
Yeah, and you know what? To be fair, I feel like at this price point, because this is the 9 Pro XL, which means it has the starting price point of $1,100.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's for, the 128 gigabytes of storage. Once you jump up to 256, or in this case, this is the 512.
Right.
The Hazel's not available in 1 terabyte. Only the Obsidian is, the black color.
Oh wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So this is the 512 Hazel. This phone is $1,300.
Yeah.
Right? At $1,300, especially with how pro everything else about this phone is, I would have liked to see Google. I'm not saying copy Apple and Samsung and go titanium.
Oh right. Yeah.
But even surgical grade stainless steel
At least.
at this price point
Right.
would have been really, really cool. But I feel like they probably didn't go down that route because they would rather just have a phone that weighs the exact same as this phone right here.
Which is crazy.
Can't feel the difference whenever you hold these two hand in hand. But yeah, I definitely do agree. As you're holding it, you don't get wow, this is a aluminum
Hefty
phone or
yeah.
a metal phone or anything
Right,
like that.
right.
Yeah, it almost feels too light for the materials that it's made out of.
And I'm assuming it's also affecting the durability. We haven't tested it and we're not going to test it, but
Yeah.
it's probably not going to be as durable as stainless steel or titanium, which
Yeah,
that's
for
also
sure.
something to consider.
Yeah, for sure. But overall,
Design is A1.
that's a clean looking phone.
Now, when you're looking at the phone straight on, there is an improvement on the display. We're going from 6.7 inch from last year's model to 6.8. Now, it's not a crazy increase, but there is a slight improvement for sure. The resolution, though, hasn't changed, but there is an improvement on the brightness of the display. So we're going from 1600 nits HDR to 2000 and 2400 nits on peak brightness to 3000. So that right there, you will notice, especially when you're using it outside. So I think it's a big plus on the display. But even if you're considering, hey, there's not an improvement on the resolution, it's still a flagship display model right there. It's the specs speak premium, so you're not gonna notice anything bad because it's a great display overall, no matter what angle you look at it from.
Yeah, 100%. The increase in brightness is wild.
Yeah, it was a
Right.
big welcome for sure.
3000 nits peak max
Yeah.
brightness is crazy. Fun fact with this display too, no more optical fingerprint sensor. We now have an ultrasonic, so it's a lot faster, it's a lot more accurate. This is the first Pixel to have the ultrasonic fingerprint sensor,
Yeah.
which is dope. And David gave the stats for the 9 Pro XL. Let's say
Right.
you buy the 9 Pro, that one is at 6.3 inches. Still going to have the same brightness levels, still going to have the same contrast levels, but it will be slightly sharper because the display is a little bit smaller. I wouldn't say sharp enough to where you're probably going to notice a difference.
I don't think so either.
But either way,
Yeah.
regardless of which phone you use, for the longest time, it's always been, whenever it comes to Android phones, Samsung just leads the pack in
Right.
terms of like
Because they're a great manufacturer for this.
supreme display quality, right?
right.
But this is absolutely a 2024 flagship display. Whether or not you're on the fence about maybe potentially buying an S24 Ultra or a 9 Pro XL, the display is not going to be the deciding factor there because
Right.
they're both absolutely incredible.
You're not gonna be disappointed.
Yeah, this is a great looking display. Now, normally, whenever we talk about pixels, we always like, remember I've said in previous reviews, it's not a pixel review unless you talk about the
The
camera.
camera, yeah.
Now it's kind of like a toss up between it's not a pixel review unless you talk about the camera or now the AI features because Google's been going pretty crazy. But
Insane.
let's start with the camera. So we'll start with the back, then we'll go to the front. On the back of the phone, we have a 50 megapixel wide angle sensor, a 48 megapixel periscope telephoto lens with 5 times optical zoom, and a 48 megapixel ultra wide angle lens, right? Now on the front, we have a 42 megapixel selfie sensor. Now how does that compare to last year's Pixel 8 Pro? The big change is going to be on the front. So the rear camera system is very similar to last year's 8 Pro.
I remember that,
Right?
yeah,
Like if
yeah.
you look at them on paper, you can't find a difference. But on the selfie sensor for the 8 Pro, that was 10.5 megapixels. It's now been bumped up to 42. So a significant jump. So if you really like,
That is literally a 4-time.
yeah,
Four times
exactly
improvement, yeah.
a 4-time improvement.
Yeah.
So if you like taking selfies, selfie game on the Pixel 9
Okay.
Pro is going to be very, very strong.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the back. What do you think about the back of the phone?
Oh, and I think that's one
Camera,
of the
back
things.
camera, not
Yeah,
the back phone.
the back camera.
Yeah.
It's Pixel has, like Arjen was saying, Pixel has been known for taking great pictures,
Mm-hmm.
and we're so used to focusing on the hardware that when we hear that it's got the same hardware as last year's, we tend to think that it's not an improvement or that it's not going to be amazing compared to other phones that we've seen this year.
This one takes great photos.
But it takes amazing photos, and I think that's because Google has always been big on using their software to improve their hardware when it comes to photography. They use computational photography, and we've seen that since really the early years of Pixel. But now with AI, they're taking it to the next level. It's insane. Not only do they have the feature Add Me, which allows you to add yourself to the picture if you're taking it, so you're basically jumping in the picture and being photoshopped in. But you also have the reimagine feature where you can generate new things onto your picture that sometimes look pretty realistic to the point that you're completely making a new photo at all.
Yeah. Some of the generative stuff is scary, like
It's
how
too,
accurate it
too
can be.
good sometimes.
Yeah.
But you combine that with previous features that we already had, like Magic Eraser, and you can edit, delete, erase, whatever you need to do to a picture to make it look perfect.
Yeah.
Or the best take feature, where you can look at different pictures, change people's faces so they can show their best take. I think here's where we're getting to this, because when it comes to photography, yeah, it's great, and you are going to be able to see the pictures on the screen. They're great pictures. They're amazing pictures. If anything, in my opinion, I think it's the best camera we've seen in the year so far. But when it comes to AI, it's really scary because not only is social media already so fake, the fact that these tools are becoming so accessible to the point that they're built in on your phone, everyone's going to be able to generate their own pictures, edit them, make them look a certain way, and post them. And it's going to be everywhere.
Yeah.
This is only one phone out of many different companies that are doing the same thing. And it's going to get really interesting when you see social media and 99% of the pictures that you see in there are are not real.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was already getting to a point where like you should never believe the majority of the things you see on social
100%.
media.
Yeah.
And now it's like you can take a photo on this phone. You can change the color of the sky with Magic Editor. You can move your subjects around with Magic Editor. If you take a group photo, you can change their faces with Best Take.
Right.
If you take a video and there's a lot of background noise, you can cancel it with Audio Magic Editor.
Right.
Right? And then on top of that, you don't have a tripod around, you can still take a group photo with Add Me.
Yeah, and put yourself in.
And the reimagine feature, you can take anything out and add anything in that you want from an image as long as like their ideal conditions.
Right,
I would
right. If
say.
the parameters are right, I think
Yeah.
there's going to be times where you're not going to get something super realistic, but we've seen it with all the AI generators for pictures that have come out in the last 2 years. They've gone progressively better in an exponential way.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if the Pixel gets an improvement like that in the next year or so, to the point that everything that you generate is pretty realistic.
Yeah. And even if you like something like image generation, there's actually something built in called the Pixel Studio app where you can go in there and it's very similar to a lot of like AI generation tools that
Right.
we've seen. It's not necessarily reimagining a current picture you have. It's literally just image generation.
new
Like
canvas.
you can give it a prompt and it
Yeah.
generates something for you,
Yeah.
right?
It just
So you can literally take a picture and you can take a picture of a car and turn that car into another car.
yeah.
And we did it. It looks real. Like
Yeah.
it's yeah.
It's-
Yeah. The idea of what a picture actually is no longer even exists anymore.
Right. Right.
And we're just getting started.
And yeah, I was gonna say, you can have your opinion with AI. We have our opinion with AI, but it is gonna get crazier. That's for sure.
Yeah. We're just getting started, which is the wild part.
Now, when you look inside of the phone, it does have a Tensor G4 chip and 16 gigs of RAM, coming from 12 from last year, which that's pretty cool. I'd take as an add-on. The main reason for the 4 gigs of RAM that are extra, though, it's because of AI. And when you look at the Tensor chip, it's not even a huge improvement when it comes to the performance. And if you want to compare it to something that's more familiar, we haven't seen this in years, but think of it like an S line of iPhones. That is, it's a improvement, but it's not crazy or revolutionary by any means. And that's not a bad thing, because I think we've seen chips get better and better to the point that they're great already. So there's not a lot to improve on anyway. But when it comes to this specific phone, the Pixel lineup in general, and if anything, it's that they're not designed for something heavy like gaming or super heavy computational things, but because of their AI features. They're complementing the software with the hardware that it's given, which is why you have extra RAM, to the point that the experience is what is delivering you, because we didn't see any hiccups, we didn't see any lag. So even though it's not as amazing as a Snapdragon chip, you are going to get great performance for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. The phone is, which good touch on the RAM, by the way. So the bump in RAM is to compensate for all of the AI features that
Right.
come on the phone. I think it was found that like roughly 3 to 4 gigs are like dedicated for the AI.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. So in
Yeah.
terms of like performance driven RAM, you're still looking right around 12, but
Right.
gave it 3 or 4 extra for the AI features.
Yeah.
Everything in this phone, from the second you boot it up to every single day that you're going to use it, is driven by AI. When you boot up this phone, by the way, I forgot to tell you, when you boot up this phone, it shows the G logo and then it switches to like the Gemini logo flipping
Yeah.
in and stuff
Yeah,
like
because
that.
you're merging both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
right at the beginning, you're met with a Gemini logo as the phone's booting up. Okay. You open up the phone and let's say you check your weather app.
Right.
There's an AI summary in the Pixel Weather app
Yeah.
of how your weather is going to be right at the top, right? And you go and you make a phone call. You can use AI to take notes on that phone call, and it notifies all the people on the call that, you know,
It's being
AI is,
recorded.
yeah.
Better.
The default assistant on this phone has been changed from Google Assistant to Gemini,
Right.
right? You pre-order this phone, they give you 1 year of Gemini Advanced, which has all the latest features, including Gemini Live, which is nuts. I think I spent an hour brainstorming about YouTube ideas, growth ideas with Gemini Live, and it's crazy. The voice quality is really good.
Wild.
Yeah, the voice
Yeah.
quality is really good, and you're able to just have contextual conversation with it. It can remember things. It can look up stuff on the internet. It was able to find our YouTube channel and give me stats on our own YouTube channel. It's absolutely nuts. Everywhere you go in this phone, Pixel Studio's there. You have AI features built into Google Photos. You have a screenshots application that gives you AI summaries of your screenshots. I took a screenshot for the review, right, that shows battery life statistics.
Right.
You
right.
go into the screenshot application, and it's got an AI summary of what the screenshot is showing you.
And
There's
Yeah.
It's wild. There's so many AI features that are built into this phone that, yeah, of course, Tensor G4 is not going to give you the most consistent frame rates on the most power demanding games out
Right.
there, right? But in terms of what this phone can do, it's pretty insane. Now, I will go back and say, because we touched on this in the podcast too,
Right.
I really wish Google would have been more
Oh, I remember.
Apple-y with
Right.
these features.
More
If
exclusive.
Apple had this, which Apple will eventually get to this point too, but
Oh,
you already
yeah.
know, if Apple had this, they are gatekeeping the heck out of these features and they're not allowing anyone else to access them. Whereas these are all predominantly driven by Gemini. There are some things that are exclusive to the Pixel, like your AI summaries and the screenshot apps and stuff like that. But anything driven by Gemini, you can access on another Android phone that has Gemini on it.
Right.
So I wish Google would keep some of that exclusive because I feel like that would be a nice selling point. But I get why they're not at the end of the day. But yeah, performance is marginal in upgrade, but Google's only 4 years in the game,
That's right.
right?
That's right.
As far as making their own chips, they're only 4 years in the game. The AI features on this phone though are just
Yeah.
it's so much fun
It is.
to use.
It is. Yeah. It's
It's
crazy.
so much fun. And it's in the battery stats too. I was telling David earlier. I spent over an hour yesterday just randomly editing different photos.
Right.
Like just to
right.
see what I could come up with or to see what I could do with them. It's wild.
And I think.
Yeah, we took a photo of a car and turned it into a Lamborghini.
Yeah. Yeah. The possibilities are endless. I think
Yeah.
that's what we're trying to get at.
Yeah.
Because I think if you look at any native app, it's safe to assume that if it's got AI, it's there. But if it doesn't, it will have it. It's going to be part of your phone as anything that you're using, and any tool that you have on your phone will have AI to some degree. It is crazy, but even when it comes to the performance, you said it, it's only the fourth generation of the Tensor G4. And to the fact that it's here already, only 4 generations in, and you compare that to an iPhone that's on the A17, they're catching up quick.
By like Tensor G10 or whatever they're gonna call it by then.
Yeah.
Right.
Or less.
Tensor
Yeah.
G7, G8,
Right, right.
Like whatever.
It'll
It
be the
should
top
be
dog.
significantly better.
Right.
Like
And that's if they do things right.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
up to them. But it is really promising, and the experience is going to be amazing if you could try a phone like this one.
Yeah. To which I should also add before we close this thought process out, Tensor G4 runs all these processes just fine.
Right.
Right? Like
Right.
you're not ever going to use it and think to yourself like, "Oh, wow, this is taking forever," or like the
Right.
performance on this phone sucks or whatever. Tensor G4 does all the stuff with no issues whatsoever.
Right. It's
Yeah.
insane.
Okay, so we're almost done, but let's talk about battery real quick, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, my battery life on the Pixel 9 Pro XL has been really, really good.
Oh, yeah. I remember. It
Yeah.
was- yeah.
Yeah, I've been averaging well over 5 hours of screen on time with like a pretty decent amount of charge still left over.
Leftover.
Yeah,
Yeah.
45 to 50% battery in some cases, depending on what you're going to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have too many heavy use case scenarios. As I've been using and testing this phone, though, I've been doing nothing but like the AI features.
Yeah, and-
Taking photos, taking
As you
videos,
should.
AI features.
Yeah.
It does all that just fine. The battery life's really great. So battery size on 9 Pro XL, 5060 milliamp hours.
That is above.
Slightly above industry
The
standard. Yeah, and should you go for the smaller model, Pixel 9 Pro, 4700. So they did not
Not-
meet the industry standard.
Crazy.
Slightly below
Yeah.
the industry standard of 5000 milliamp hours. But either way, I mean, my battery life on the phone has been great. It doesn't have the fastest charging speeds, whether you go wireless or wired, but it charges fast enough. It would be cool to see them implement slightly slightly faster,
Like
I should say,
OnePlus.
charging standards. Even like OnePlus from like 3 years ago. Like if they could just go 50 watt, 60 watt charging, that would be significantly better. But that's probably my only gripe whenever it comes to like battery or
Yeah.
charging.
Because they're crazy at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we have phones that are like over 100 watt charging speeds and stuff like
Yeah.
that, like 0 to full before you can even like step
You're
away
blinking,
from
dude, yeah.
where you put it in the charge and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
you were gonna talk about colors and
Oh
prices?
yeah, because I mean the phone. We know that it comes in two sizes, so the 9 Pro and the 9 Pro XL.
Mm-hmm.
The 9 Pro starts at $999 for the 128 GB option.
Yep.
And the Pro XL comes in at $1,100 for 128, and it does come in hazel obsidian, which is like a black porcelain, like a white toilet, and
Exactly.
and
Exactly,
the
yeah.
rose quartz. And just one thing to consider is that the colors are not available for all the storage options, so you have to check and see on the website which ones are for which option.
Exactly. Yeah. Rose quartz, for example, like the matte pink, only
Right.
in 256.
It's just so strange.
And let's say you wanted to get a terabyte, you have to get obsidian. Like you have to
Right,
go with the
right.
black color.
Like just weird combinations.
Yeah.
But overall, I think we had a great experience with this phone. I think
So much fun.
AI, it's making testing phones so much more fun because we enjoy this even if the AI wasn't in the picture, but just having it in the picture, it just there's so many possibilities of
Yeah.
how you can test it.
Yeah, it's making phones really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, we have tons of other hardware coming in too. So if you guys are excited to check out any of the reviews coming in the future, make sure you're subscribed. If you're already subscribed, you already know we love you. Thank you so much. But yeah, I think we're done. Yeah.
Till the next one.
Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace. Should we keep going with that? There's a hair on them.
Yeah.
Okay. You ready? You ready? Should we keep going? Should we keep going? All right.